Hey everyone, it's Rebecca from Vita Wellness, and I'm here with Justin Batt again, who is a holistic wellness practitioner. And we're going to be talking about pain today and Justin's experience of pain personally and also professionally. So, Justin, what can you tell us about pain?
Well, Beck, having done tens of thousands of hands-on treatment using my spinal balance treatment, pain is the number one thing that we deal with at the Wellness Centre. And again, it's so debilitating physically and mentally for people. Now, we've brought the Nanofy product into our clinic, and it's the best product I've seen in 30 years. And the reason for that is because it is specific at targeting and removing inflammation. So remember, when we're talking pain is inflammation. And the more inflammation you have, the more pain you have, and vice versa. So, with that, I use within my clients, I really look at a scale of pain from 1 to 10. So, when we're looking at pain, let's call 10 excruciating pain and let's call 1 virtually no pain. Now, when you look at that, what we aim to do with everyone is get them on that scale down to about 3 or below. And that will vary with each person, and we do achieve that. But again, I want to explain why it's so important to even give yourself as individuals scores on where your pain is at. So if you're at 3 or below, we consider that you're functioning well, you're living a normal lifestyle, and even if you're at a 3, the pain is such that it's not really bothering you. If you're at 4 to 6, you are more in an area where you're struggling. So I call it that struggling zone, that 4 to 6, where you are just struggling through each day. It's hard because you're dealing with pain and discomfort. And then when you get to 7 or above, you are suffering. And that means you are suffering. It's taken over a lot of your life. It uses up a lot of your mental and physical energy. Now, when we look at that, say someone comes in and they're starting at a pain level of 8. This is interesting because with Nanofy, we're going to start to reduce inflammation, and you've got to look at what you call success. So someone might come in and they may have had lower back disc issues and they've had chronic pain for a long time. If I can get them from an 8 or a 9 down to a 3 or even a 4, obviously you want to get everyone to a 1 or a 0. That's huge success, because anyone that's suffered a lot of pain will tell you that everything is relative. So if someone's been functioning at an 8 for years with chronic pain and they go to a 3 or a 4, they think it's Christmas, because they, compared to what they were used to, it's dramatically lower. And what we see with the Nanofy is that you can really make great ground over that first month. And even still, that can keep going with people. But my attitude to that is, even if slowly but surely that pain level is coming down and coming down, over time, if you graph it, you're going to see a great improvement. So with the Nanofy, it directly targets pain, directly removes inflammation. And what you see when you deal with a lot of people that have a lot of pain is that they're broken down, not only physically, but mentally. Now, as we speak about this, the reason I bring that up is because so many people in our society are suffering. So when we say suffering, that's your 7 or above. Okay, they're just suffering every day. And if you are and you're out there listening to this, get onto the Nanofy and start to use it. With dosages, with all of my clients, if they're going reasonably well, I'll put them on a 10 drops a day maintenance program. If they're suffering, if they're on the upper levels of struggling or into suffering, we want to up that a little bit to start to lower the inflammation. Remember though, as you lower inflammation, your body's actually then in a healing mode. While you're inflamed, it can't heal. It just literally can't. So when we lower the inflammation, your body starts to heal. Now, what's good with that is that can mean over time that you need less of a dosage, because healing has been able to take place. Whereas when you are in chronic inflammation, healing can't take place. And what a lot of people who are listening to this would have experienced is it just gets worse over time. And as it gets worse, it breaks you down physically and mentally, which means emotionally. So, yes, if you're suffering with pain, get on the Nanofy, just start to get it into your body, start to target your inflammation, as I always say, from the inside out. So get that inflammation dragged out of the body, and then you can start to work down that pain scale, work way down.
And what we found too is really interesting is that some people report having headaches or migraines within a couple of minutes of taking drops and having that product on their tongue and going straight into the
Yeah.
bloodstream, feel a reduction in the pain and the discomfort within, sometimes minutes.
Yes, and that's a great way to utilize it as well. That's a bit of a different one, but it's highly effective. So you might have for example, a morning dose of 10 drops in the morning that you just take as your standard dose. But you might at any time during the day, particularly if you're a headache or a migraine sufferer, feel one coming on and then put 3 to 5 drops just onto the tongue. Straight away start to target it. So it becomes a little more specific. And again, we're interrupting those pain pathways, but remember, while we're interrupting the pain pathways, we are reducing each day inflammation. It's like a cycle. The more inflamed you are, the more likely you are to get another headache and migraine. And every time you get that headache and migraine, it activates more inflammation. So it's like a vicious loop. But remember, that vicious loop, which is like a spiral, works the other way, which means the less inflammation you have, the less likely you are to experience that headache and migraine, and it's creating momentum in the opposite direction. So always remember, as bleak and as hard as things may feel, everything with health is like a spiral. If you're going down that spiral and suffering with more pain, remember it's the same pathway to go back up and get out of pain. So use the pain scale. All you have to do with the pain scale is ask your body what your pain levels are from 1 to 10, and it will tell you. Your inner self, your higher self will answer you. So just sit there quietly and say, what level of pain am I at the moment? And you might do that each day, and you might write down initially, I'm at a 9. And then you might be at a 7 and a 5 and so forth, but you can track it. And all you have to do is ask and listen for the answer, because your innate being knows where you're at any given time. And it's a great way to gauge your success.
I was just about to ask you that. So a lot of people, I think sometimes the changes are sort of integrated, and you start to feel well, and you kind of forget. And I think that's the thing with pain, is that you forget sometimes that you're in so much pain when you're not in pain. It's sort of that mechanism of the brain sort of shields you from the trauma of being in pain. So the idea is that if you can take yourself down from an 8 to a 4, that's huge success. And so it's about what sort of measurements to look for when you're taking a product like Nanofy to reduce the inflammation, and how you can actually kind of get a self-measurement about the efficacy of that product for you.
Yeah, and with that too, whenever you're in pain, your energy goes way down because you're being drained, because you're having to deal with the pain mentally and emotionally as well as physically. So you find the opposite as well. So as you lower your inflammation and lower your pain, your energy comes back. And I'll guarantee this with everybody. Like the amount of people I've had through the years that have come in and been in chronic pain, and they have no energy. They just want to sleep the whole time, because all their body's resources have been taken up fighting that pain every day, and they're drained and they're tired. But what happens is, as we unlock and remove the inflammation, those energy stores start to raise again, and they start to lift up. So not only is the Nanofy great to reduce and remove your inflammation and your pain, as it does that, it's going to restore your energy. And then as your energy is restored, your body then has that energy to send healing to all those other parts of the body that have often been neglected for, who knows, months or many years.
It's quite remarkable, isn't it? And there's something like 21,000 published studies on curcumin and its effectiveness, but we've never had it be as bioavailable as this product, with a delivery system that gets straight into the bloodstream within minutes, crosses the blood-brain barrier, so it can fight inflammation in the brain, in all the tissues, in the organs, in the cells in the body. And as you say, people gauge their wellness or unwellness by the levels of pain that they have. So sometimes inflammation is hard to gauge, but pain, you certainly know when you're in pain. So
yeah, you do. And the key with that too is, with the Nanofy, is it's fast acting. So a lot of things you have to take, and then you have to take them for so long before you see anything. Quite often with Nanofy, people are noticing changes within a day or two, which I think is great, because it is, as soon as you can see a change, you're willing to stick with something and allow it to work. Whereas if things can take a while and you're already mentally and physically broken down, you don't have the resources or the energy to stick with that. So what you need to see is some change quickly. And that's what I'd suggest to anyone. If you get a miracle with it, fantastic. But all I'd be looking for early days is, hang on, that's a little bit different. And you know how you know your pain is changing? How much you think about it. So if you think about pain all the time, it means you've got high pain. The way this works is, as it reduces, you stop thinking about it. So If I ever have a client come into me and I ask, how have you been? And they have to think about it, I say to them straight away, you've been okay.
Yeah.
Because when you're not, because it's at front of mind and you can't get it out of your mind because it's overwhelming. So when you're taking it and you're using your scores, but the other way to gauge your level of success is, I haven't thought about it. Like, I haven't thought about me back for 3 hours. You're getting better.
Brilliant. So brilliant. Amazing product. Simple to take, affordable.
Yeah.
Get in touch if anybody you know is in pain, and get your hands on some Nanofy. Thanks, Jess.
Great. Thanks, Beck.